Welcome back to Washington Watch. My name is Joseph Backholm, sitting in for Tony today. Yesterday, the United States Supreme Court Associate Justice Stephen Breyer was at the White House for his official retirement announcement. At 83, he is the oldest current justice and a longtime member of the liberal wing of the court. President Biden has already told us what he's looking for in Justice Breyer's replacement.
While I've been studying candidates' backgrounds and writings, I've made no decision except one. The person I will nominate will be someone with extraordinary qualifications, character, experience, and integrity. And that person will be the first Black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court.
Of course, President Biden's nominee will be the subject of much conversation. But in the meantime, let's take a look back at Justice Breyer's time on the bench in our nation's highest court. And joining us now is the Heritage Foundation's John Malcolm, who's the vice president for their Institute for Constitutional Government and the director of the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies. John, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you, Joseph.
Thank you. And most people in the audience are not Supreme Court watchers. How would you describe Justice Breyer's legacy as a justice?
Justice Breyer is a pragmatist and an incrementalist. He did not believe in making bold moves on terribly many issues. He certainly was a living constitutionalist. He did not believe that the words and phrases in the Constitution necessarily needed to be interpreted as they were understood by the people at the time those provisions were ratified. He believed that these words could take on new meaning to suit modern times. He believed in balancing tests with lots of factors. He would ask these long-winded hypothetical questions during oral arguments that would bedevil advocates. Very much middle of the road. He was a reliable liberal vote on most issues that the left cares about: abortion, Second Amendment rights, racial preferences. On some other issues like criminal law issues, he was a former member of the Sentencing Commission. He could come out with the results that conservatives would like. In some business disputes involving lawsuits against corporations, he sometimes broke from the liberal wing. But on most of the social issues, the death penalty included, he was a pretty reliable liberal voice.
So do you think perhaps criminal issues and business issues are where he would distinguish himself from current members of the left wing of the court like Sotomayor and Kagan?
Yeah, certainly from Sonia Sotomayor and probably from Elena Kagan too. I mean, the most liberal member of the court is Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan is also Justice Kagan is very much a pragmatist too, and will sort of curb things in order to either come out with results that she likes or make sure that opinions aren't as bad as she feared. Justice Breyer, very courtly gentleman. He was on the bench for a very, very long time. Right after Ruth Bader Ginsburg, he was appointed by President Clinton in 1994. He sat for a number of years on the First Circuit as a judge. Before that, he happened to be my antitrust professor when I was in law school. A left-leaning, mainstream jurist.
An interesting anecdote about him is he replaced Justice Blackmun, who happened to be the justice who wrote the Roe versus Wade decision, which perhaps providentially, coincidentally, may be overturned in the days and weeks before he resigns. We don't know that, but that is a potential scenario. Now, there is been some discussion about the circumstances surrounding his resignation. Do you think in any way Justice Breyer has been pressured into making this announcement when he did?
Well, at the end of last term, the left was putting tremendous pressure on Justice Breyer. There's a very liberal group called Demand Justice that actually literally rented a truck that drove back in front of the Supreme Court with a billboard that said, "Breyer, retire now." I don't think there's any question that he wanted to be replaced by President Biden. The Democrats have the slimmest of majorities at the moment. I was surprised, not that he was going to leave at the end of his term. I was a little surprised by the timing of the announcement. I would have thought he would have made it at the end of the term. Perhaps it was his intention to make that announcement at the end of the term. But once it was leaked out that he had informed the president that he was going to step down at the end of the term, there was no waiting until the end of June to make that announcement.
And so briefly, a bit about the potential replacement. We know that President Trump, no one was surprised when he nominated Amy Coney Barrett, a woman, to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That was expected, but presidents haven't typically come out and been as explicit about their expectations. President Biden coming out and saying a Black woman will be nominated to this seat. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm not somebody who's a big fan of identity politics. I don't think there should be quotas on the court. I don't think you should sit there and say, you know, I'm going to pick a man or a woman or a Black person or an Asian or a white guy. You know, I think you look at the merits of each candidate, their qualifications, their judicial temperament, and their judicial philosophy. That having been said, you know, I have no doubt that there are many qualified people whom the president can look at, particularly given the judicial philosophy that this president has. The important thing to remember is that the Democrats do control the Senate, and there is no filibuster for judicial nominees. There hasn't been a single Democratic senator who's voted against any of the nominees to the federal bench that the president has made. So if they all stick together, he could really put on the court anybody he wants, even if there was no Republican support. Some of the names that are being mentioned, I think, would have, you know, there would be a less contentious confirmation fight. All confirmation fights for the Supreme Court are contentious. But if he goes with, say, a Judge Ketanji Jackson, a Brown Jackson, who's on the DC circuit, who's been through this process twice before, most recently last June, got 3 Republican votes, or if he goes with a Leandra Kruger, who's a justice on the California Supreme Court, former John Paul Stevens clerk, and argued 12 cases in front of the Supreme Court.
John Malcolm?
It's going to be, yeah. Got to go?
Yeah, we are out of time, but I'll finish your thought. It is going to be hard for them to say no. That's kind of the expectation, but we will see, and we'd love to have you back on to discuss it. Thanks for your time today.
I'd love it. Okay, bye-bye.